Well, looks like you made it back.
Well, we didn't see any Liberty ships. We did have to go back to port a couple times for emergency from passengers. I didn't ask. I didn't know, but yeah, that was pretty odd. First time I've been on a cruise where we had to do it two times on the same cruise, and um, one of the other ships coming into the port that we was going to also had an emergency. So we got ahead of one ship one time, and then the ship got ahead of us one time. It was really weird. A lot of sick people on them ships, apparently. Um, but yeah, I made it back.
That's good. Yeah.
So,
Some crazy stuff though.
so we're gonna talk a little bit about the Bermuda Triangle because I've sailed through it quite a few times, and it just looks pretty to me.
Well, it should be interesting. Should be pretty interesting. Well, I'm Andrew, and this is Tracy, and this is Big Talk Smart. That's where you want to start.
Oh, you can start. Pull up. I got my computer here. My little cheat sheet. I want to talk a little bit about Flight 19, the disappearance, because that's the Liberty ship reference I made. They said they saw a Liberty ship, and then they had some malfunctions with the equipment. Ran out of fuel and fell into the water, and you know, disappeared. They seem to think it was one place, and some of the investigators that debunked the Bermuda Triangle, Larry Kush is one of them. I think it's probably say his name Kush, Kushe. He seems to think that he was a pilot, and he was a pilot instructor. Was instrument instructor too, so he would know about how to the problems you have in instrumentation failure type stuff. Sometimes people fly and they don't read the gauges good because the gauges tell them what's happening, but they don't believe it because their eyes tell them something else. And if you ever been to a magic show, you know your eyes are lied to you.
Oh yeah, a sleight of hand will get you.
And so it's something like that with the Horizon. I'm not a pilot. I only flew in the back of planes. I don't know anything about that, but I've seen shows on it, and they do talk about it. And he seems to think that that was the problem that they had. That they weren't familiar with the. It was that was in the 40s, sometime. Um, let's see, 1945, December 5th. You had 5 Navy Avenger torpedo planes on a training mission. So they had a I don't think they had a lot of experience with it, like he was saying. They didn't have a lot of experience with the instrumentation, the gauges, and then back then it wasn't like they had great radar and stuff, so they could just figure out where the planes was at. They didn't have radar everywhere like they would today, and all the stuff that they have today is a lot easier. You still have commercial planes disappear in big bodies of water today with satellites and everything else, and it's hard for them to find. So back then, if they would have thought they were off the coast of Miami, and which is more east, maybe more northeast Florida, and they would have been south of Florida instead of they'd have thought they were, or vice versa. If they would have thought they were here and they were here, or they thought they were here and they were here, and people were searching where they thought they were at, they're not going to find them.
Yeah.
Because they could be 300-400 miles away from, and they could, in the water. I mean, it'd be like finding a piece of grass in a stack of hay. You could do it. Piece of brown grass in a stack of hay. You could do it, but it'd be hard to do. So I agree with them a lot of stuff. You've had a lot of ships go down. They say the weather was great, and but you'll have people who was on the ships who'll call out and say that the water looks weird, the water looks different, it looks funny. Maybe it was a storm, and that's why the water looked weird.
Like a hurricane or something.
I mean, tropical storms form in that area. Bermuda Triangle is 500,000 square miles or something like that. That's bigger than countries. That's bigger than some countries. It's huge. That's a huge, huge area. So why would you, not realize that could happen? It could be, a storm could be, especially back when it got its name originally back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, on into the, mid 1900s. There wasn't a whole lot of technology. A ship would leave port, and they might pass a ship 3 days later, and they radio back and forth or whatever, flash their lights back and forth to say, hey, here I am, do Morse code or however they done it. And then they might not see anything else till 5-6 days later when they arrived at the other port. So if a ship was to leave, had not passed a ship and disappear into the water, you wouldn't have no idea where they were at. You just knew where they was going from A to B, and you'd have to search. We had contact with them 2 days after they left port, and that was it, or the day after they left port. And now they were supposed to be there 8 days later, but they didn't show up. So now you got 6 days to look for a ship, and it could be anywhere from 2 days out to 5 days out. You don't know where to look, and they might plot a course and run it, but they don't run a track like a GPS track, like a boat would. In today's world, you get in your boat, you set your GPS up, and you look, you got a bunch of lines that's on top of each other like this here. It looks like somebody just scribble, because you go the same path all the time.
Yeah.
In a big open area like they're in the ocean, they could be 50, 100 miles in that path. They could be 20 miles in that path. Or they could be 1 mile in that path, but you still a mile is a long way left and right to look, and you got to look down in that deeper water, and you got to look the whole distance of it. So if it's a mile, if it's only a mile that they're off by, like when they don't, because they're not going to travel the exact same path.
Yeah.
But if they're only a mile off from left to right from where they would be, they could be that far apart from where they would travel in a big area. Now, I'm not saying in a channel. They're going to be in a tight area, of course, but they're not disappearing in the channels. So, but in the open ocean, they could be that far apart. Now you got to search 1,000 miles long and a mile wide. That's a lot of area to search. I mean, people go missing in I can't speak.
National Forest?
Yes, all the time. And they're with people and disappear, which is a different show. But they're with people and disappear. And, like, where'd they go? And they can't find them. And sometimes they never find them, and sometimes it's days or weeks later.
It's the Blair Witch.
And they've got people searching for them immediately. Now you think about that. And then you think about the vast area of ocean. I mean, Lake Michigan, you have boats. That's a big area. You have boats disappearing in Lake Michigan, too. I mean, bunches. And maybe it's argued by some people that more boats, they have more events, I should say, in Lake Michigan than they do in the Bermuda Triangle. So, I don't know. I looked for the numbers. I didn't see the numbers, the actual numbers on, so I could compare them apples to oranges, or however. But okay, say it's similar. So does that mean that that's a triangle too? I mean, the thing is, you don't have it happen as often now as you used to have it. And
yeah, with the better equipment and all now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, always been fascinated by it. And the first time I went on a cruise, I was like, we're not going through the Bermuda Triangle. I was like, oh, yeah, we're going right through it. It's like, really? You know? And I was like, that's going to be pretty cool. Hopefully, if I see anything, I'll get back. I can tell the story. But they've had some people that had instrument problems on the airplanes and stuff over areas of the Bermuda Triangle, and they describe it as a fog over the airplanes. And you could probably look that up. But it's like a fog, and like an electric fog around the airplane, and instruments go completely crazy. And a couple people survived it and talked about it, and they said their instruments went completely crazy. So yeah, they could see how Flight 19th, the Navy Avengers, planes just went, and they went down because they had no idea. And they got better instrumentation now, and they got more experienced teachers teaching now. We've been flying for a lot longer now. So, and planes are better equipped. So I think these people, they're like, my instruments went crazy and I couldn't trust them, and I was flying. I couldn't see because it's a fog, and I was looking, and I realized I was pitched down, and I thought I was pitched up, and I was headed to the water, and then pull back. Some people pull back so much they roll over. I mean,
yeah,
it's weird, but you listen to the stories and you can say, well, I can see if you was to fly into some kind of electricity like that. Yeah, I could see you having trouble if that's what happened to those planes.
well, I don't know much about the time and all, but I imagine if your instrument goes out and it's really foggy or dark out, you're not going to be able to see anything to base how you're flying. So it'd be a lot easier to even go slant, nose down a little, because you probably won't notice the slant down.
1 degree, doesn't seem like much, but over miles, eventually you're gonna hit the water.
Yeah.
Eventually, and by that time, you're like, oh my God, I'm out of fuel. They thought they were somewhere and they run out of fuel, and that was the last thing was that they was having to ditch the planes in the water because they was out of fuel. If that's if some of them ran out of fuel, that's why. Who knows where they were at?
Yeah.
But they just got lost, and the instruments went. Either they didn't believe, they thought the instruments was wrong, so they flew against the instruments, and they got lost and run out of fuel. And if the instruments was right, they'd have been flying backwards. They thought they was flying toward land. And I don't know. I mean, to me, what time of day is it? What time of night is it? If it's daytime, fly east. You more likely gonna hit something. Especially if you fly more of like an east northeast type thing. You probably go, if you off the coast of Florida, you go run into land. You go run across land flying that way.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry, not east. I'm wrong, completely wrong. East is the west. I'm sorry. Fly back toward North Carolina, California.
I gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, I said it wrong. I said east. It's completely wrong.
Right. Well, they probably will find land northeast. Just take a little bit longer to get there.
Yeah, they'll run out of fuel for sure. Because if they're running that way, I'm pretty sure they go run out of fuel before they find anything in that area. But no, if there was to fly back toward the west and more of a northwest, they're gonna run into land, or they're gonna be close to land. I mean, you're gonna run up from Florida, you're gonna run up into South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, something like that. And if they was in the Gulf, they'd and they would have more of a problem finding land. They'd have to fly more north. But if they was off, depending on where they were in the beginning,
Yeah.
but it's easy to sit here and say that because you're not in the moment. It's like, where am I at? I don't know where. At that point, they don't know where they're at. They thinking. So, I'm sure if they got the sun, they could have figured out where the sun was at. They could have figured out where to flew.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine. It'd be like a night deal, or I mean, again, if the weather's not perfect,
if it's
foggy or something, it would still be hard too, even during the day. But
if it's foggy, it'd be hard. It'd be difficult. So it's fascinating. Bermuda Triangle's always fascinated me, and I always wondered about it. And all the all the stuff that you ever see on it is either fantasized, hocus pocus, leaning toward just here's the story of the Bermuda Triangle, where everything that goes in it just disappears and nothing comes out on it. It's so fantasized, won't or
They come back in another time.
come back in another time.
It's like time travel.
Time travel. The aliens got them and took them to a planet Neplon.
Or a giant squid. Or
The Kraken got 'em.
yeah.
Yes, they're looking for Captain Jack. The Captain Bird guy, Jack something. Anyway, so yeah, not gonna get me there, Disney. But so anyway, it's either that or somebody who completely just says, "Oh, there's nothing to the Bermuda Triangle." What are storms in the Bermuda Triangle? There's a lot of storms that happen in the Atlantic, a lot, and in it's just easy to see how ships could disappear back when they wasn't able to forecast these storms that good. It's easy. I mean, we was on a big ship, had a little bit of a storm, and we had some good sized rollers. I mean, that's a big ship. That's what was it? 1,300 feet. It's a pretty big ship.
Yeah.
And so we had some pretty good sized rollers on there. I mean, it moved that boat pretty good. I mean, when you move so you can imagine some of your smaller ships. You got 150 foot, 300 foot ship. If it was in water like that, it'd be really strenuous on that. And we wasn't even in like a storm. We was out on the outskirts of storm. We run through like a rainstorm type thing, and they was 30 knot winds and stuff. It wasn't like like 100 knots or nothing like that. It was 30 knot winds, and it was big as that ship is. It was moved. It was rolling enough to where they shut the pool and stuff down because it's splashing the water out the pool.
Jeez.
It wasn't like the videos you see. I don't have any of those great videos like you see where water splashing up in the. It wasn't none of that, but it was easy to see from that perspective how easy it could be for a smaller ship to have problems. I mean, when we was going into port and the waves looked like it was like 5-6 feet because we was up, 12, 13 floors. I forget what deck was on now, but anyway, the waves looked like it was 5 or 6, 7 feet, and then the night before, the evening before, the waves was pretty good, pretty high, and you was like, man, them waves, that must be 12, 15 feet. And so that day we thought the waves was like 5, 6 feet. There was a tug come through, and them tugs are good sized boats, and the waves was over the top of it.
Jeez.
And I thought we was in like 5 or 6 foot wave, and I know that's way more than that, but I have no idea how big the tug was. I don't know how big tugs are. It was like a good size one, but when I seen that, and I seen like a smaller boat, like a 40 or 50 foot boat. When we got up into the harbor, more into the harbor, where it looked like we was in Little Chop, that boat was launching. Yeah, and so so when you're on a ship that big, you just don't have no idea how big the water is.
Yeah.
So you think about that tug. That tug probably was 2-3 times as long as that boat was. So I'd say that tug was probably 100, 120 feet, or could have been bigger. It was a good size compared to that boat, and that wasn't even choppy water like we was in. So you figure out in that water, and that was in the middle of, I guess, right in the middle of the Bermuda, not in the middle of the, but inside the Bermuda Triangle, because we was headed over towards San Juan, over toward Puerto Rico, and so that's some pretty good job. So I could see how ships could disappear. The airplanes, if they run out of fuel, they're gonna come down.
Oh yeah.
But Bermuda Triangle's always fascinated me. I always watched all the TV shows. You got them on the different TV celebrity channels, the investigative channels and whatnot, different channels, which I'll not mention them by name because you can have some problems. You might discover a lawsuit or something.
It'll all be history.
Yes, it'll all be history. So you can watch these shows, and it's some of them's pretty good, pretty informative, and gives you a good idea. But most of the time, I find that they're fantasy. They wanna sell to the fantasy side of it.
Yeah, dramatize it a bit.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to make it interesting for people because if it's boring, they're not going to keep watching it. And
Yeah, ratings go down.
they're smart. They know what they're doing, and it's like, but it's easy. It's easy to see how stuff can happen like that. But in Lake Michigan, that was when I seen that was kind of fascinating. It was like, man, that's landlocked. I mean, it's big. It's big.
That's a really big lake.
It's big. But you got Michigan Superior, and you got some. There's some Great Lakes. They're named that way for a reason. They're big, but they they have a lot of issues. 'Cause they some famous disappearances there. Like Edmund Fitzgerald and stuff like that. They've had some pretty famous disappearances too. Is it something with the water? Is there something in the water? Some people tend to think that there might be a type of rock that's throwing the compasses off that's on the bottom of the ocean that's causing that. And some people's like, well, it's a pyramid. Somebody built a pyramid and it's in it. I mean, it could have been a pyramid built and then the water come in. I don't know about none of that.
Ancient aliens.
Well, my hair's too neat for that, but aliens. But yeah, that's it's odd that you could think about it. What would be the best answer for that? There could be natural rock formations or some kind of natural magnetic stuff happening down there. That absolutely could be. But then once again, you got to have somebody go grid the whole Bermuda Triangle off.
That would take some time.
And they got to go this way. Yeah, that's 500,000 square miles.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, that would if you had 10 or 12 boats, you could probably get it done in 10, 15 years. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. Might not be that long. But thinking about it, I mean, how big's the grid's going to be? Are they going to travel side by side, 100 feet from each other, side by side, 500 feet from each other, a quarter mile from each other, and set grids out? And how long is it going to take them to travel the distance and then, back and forth? That's a few days each trip.
Then you got to think about the weather too, because if it's rough, then you're probably not going to hold a straight line even with the GPS.
Well, yeah, they can't do it with those type of boats aren't set up for that kind of water, so they got to only do it in certain times of the year, certain weather, and yeah, it can be done, but I mean, you're gonna have to have some money to do it.
Yeah,
yeah. Who's gonna?
Somebody's gonna fund that. Yeah.
Yeah, who's gonna fund that? I mean, it's like it's easier to get a return on something. I mean, what's the return? The guy funding it. Okay, what am I getting?
I mean, unless they find something, some kind of treasure when they roll the grid.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, Blackbeard's treasure.
I don't know what kind of treasure. Something.
Yeah, I seen on
something somebody's willing to pay for.
I seen on that TV show about the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Yeah, they found it. They found these treasures somewhere or the other, but they also took a ferry to Raleigh, North Carolina, on that TV show. Yeah. Anybody who knows the area, just get a map and look at it, and you'll see how stupid and ridiculous that is. Anyway, so
Well,
But those, so what kind of treasures could they find? Who knows?
yeah. Well, I mean, if ships are sinking and whatever in that area, somebody has to be carrying something of value at some point if it's still there.
How deep's the water, and can you get to it?
I'm sure they can get to it, but would it
Can-
be worth getting to it?
Well, I mean, if it was in like 5,000-6,000 feet of water, and it was inside the ship, you might could get down to it, but can you get inside the ship to get to it?
How deep is the Titanic?
I don't know, but they
That's
don't
pretty
dive.
deep too.
Yeah, but
No,
they
they
don't. They don't.
they have
They
the
have
equipment that dives for
they
you
have
though, with the
submersibles.
arms and
Yeah. But
so,
okay, so you get a piece. Let's say it's at a depth where they can get that submersible into, and they can even get it into the ship. How they gonna drag that out?
yeah.
And
This depends on what
I
that
guess.
is.
Oh, I
yeah.
mean, I guess if they could get it outside of the doors of the ship, outside to a deck, or they could float it up. I know at that point they could float it up because they really good at stuff like that.
Yeah.
At recovering and salvage but finding something, and then what's there to find that's worth looking for.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know. Yeah, but you'd be wasting a lot of money. Just there's a ship there. Let's go see what's down there.
I mean, there's a lot of
Might not be anything.
there's a lot of stuff on the bottom from 1800s, 17, 1900s. Worth a lot of money if it's still there, and if it hasn't been taken over by some kind of marine life or something, and it's under coral and you don't know what, you never find it. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's the only thing about that. It's kind of funny. To me, it's kind of funny. I just don't see nobody doing the explorer to get that.
No, they'd have to have proof of something that'd be worth their time.
So, had quite a few airplanes disappear there, right? 45, 45, 47,
long
48,
list.
48, 49, 65, 65. Okay, so we had a Piper PA-23, which that's a small airplane. It disappeared between Treasure Cay and Fort Pierce, Fort with 3 people on board. That was 2005. So that's fairly recent.
Wow, almost 20 years ago.
Well, as technology goes, though, it's fairly recent.
Yeah.
And 2017, they had, Turkish Airbus 330. It was forced to change its direction. It had electrical problems over the triangle. So maybe that was more to do with maintenance than the triangle.
Yeah.
They had a private airplane,
Mitsubishi.
MU-2B. It's Mitsubishi. So it's like a turboprop. Had it disappear at 24,000 feet. It vanished from radar and radio contact.
With the air control for Miami.
The plane wreckage was found later.
That's
That's
they'll have
2017
records on what happened to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd imagine.
Yeah, but it doesn't say on this here Bermuda Triangle website
Well, no, because it was
because
the Bermuda Triangle did it.
because if they found out that the plane was a Mitsubishi and it disappeared in 2017, I don't know exactly when it happened, but those planes had a fail safe. Those are turboprops, so they propped airplanes, and the pitch will change on those planes. It actually will change, so they can change the pitch, get a little more aggressive, to get a little more. They'll change to a certain. But if they have a fail, on it. They're supposed to go to a fail maximum pitch, and in studies in the I just saw a show on this the other day. That's how I know. So in the engineering thought that if it failed, it would go to the max setting because it had a set point in it where it would rotate all the way over, and it had an airplane crash into the ground, and they had to do a rethink, and so when you put the motor stationary on a stand and you do the fail, it automatically goes over to max degrees. So let's say that zero is when you prop it straight like this,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say that it's I don't know what its max is. I don't remember the numbers, but we'll say it's 80, right? So it's 80. It's got a lot of pitch on it. Um, so just for instance, and the number's not gonna be right, so don't kill me. But
Could have comment all on it.
it worked perfectly, of course, in the lab. But one of the aviator guys, he's like, "No, I don't believe this is going to work. I don't believe this is right. I think that maybe we're going to have an issue." So what they done is they had two test pilot airplanes, and they put a fail-safe in there. So when the things they can't go to zero, they could only go to 22 degrees. I think 22 or 23 degrees. They put a mechanical stop in there. So when if it did go that way, it couldn't go but no further. Otherwise, the guys would lose control and die,
Mm-hmm.
or they'd have to parachute out. They did have parachutes in case, but still hard to parachute out of a plane like that.
Yeah.
So they took it up, they started to test, and they hit the button to disengage the link so that the blades would free float into the position, whatever position they would go to. And at first, after about 10 seconds, it went to where they were supposed to go. And so all the aviation guys, that was responsible, the engineering type crowd, was all like, looking at the guy like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But after about a minute, something strange, the plane started vibrating, and it caused the propellers to go back towards zero. And so they went to the bottom till they hit the mechanical stop, where it couldn't go less than 23,
Mm-hmm.
where the guys could still maintain control of the plane. And then they was like, "Oh crap!" Which means if they hadn't had the mechanical stops there, they would have went to zero. You'd have lost control of the plane and would have done what the airplane done in the event, actually just go nose down into the ground. It went into the ground almost straight down, upside down, almost straight down. It was flying. I forget how fast they said, but it was like extremely fast, something fast, nasty fast. I mean, that's like horrible, anybody's nightmare. But they found out that was the problem. And I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, wow, what if if that could happen?
Yeah.
And they sent out a thing, the uh, association, the Federal Association of Flying. They sent out a thing saying, "Hey, look, um, let's get all these planes fixed because this is not going to work. We're gonna have to put, I don't know what the fix was. They put mechanical stops in all of them, but what they done, how they done it, I don't know. But it's like this fail safe is not fail safe. It's actually a fail bad. So they had to send out a thing to everybody, get them planes refixed, all of them fixed, every one of them. And it was it's just little things like that you don't know until you test them in the air, because from the ground it worked perfect, flawless.
Yeah.
But in the air it worked flawless for a few seconds, 20, 30 seconds or whatever, and then the vibration of the plane caused them to start going back. And once they started going back, they went all the way to the stop. They would have went to zero too. And that's funny looking at this plane, and it's kind of not the Bermuda Triangle, but it is kind of to me it was interesting. I'm sorry if it's not to you, but it was to me watching it. But yeah, it's one of them things. Was
Well, that would make it vanish off the radar pretty quick. They had some problems.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
If it had that problem, that plane.
Yeah, they found the wreckage to that plane. So, but 24,000 feet. If they were to experience problems, and thought it was gonna settle itself out, and it pitched to zero like that, it would roll it over just like that, and it would be wide open, running to the ground.
Yeah.
They can't control it. There's no control of it. It's just nosedive. So, and they're probably not going to have a whole lot of time. I mean, to hey, look, guys, we got a problem. I mean, they probably trying to figure out what the problem is and fix the problem. And
Yeah.
these guys, but
Hmm.
yeah. So some of that stuff. So when you see stuff disappear like this, you kind of have to look at what the aircraft was, the time the aircraft, and what's problems with similar type of aircraft. When they were searching for the Avengers, they actually had airplanes that disappeared. Those airplanes, they were known as they were gas planes, and they would blow up quite a bit.
Jeez.
So it was a known thing that once in a while one would blow up. I don't know what caused it, but they carried fuel and a lot of extra fuel and stuff, and sometimes they would just blow up in the skies, and that pretty much figured. That's why they not on there with the Avengers, the Flight 19 thing, because they knew what happened to them. They knew they blew up. It's like it's just like, well, we just lost an airplane. He's exploded in the sky.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's crazy.
but I mean, you're in a ship, and especially if a lot of them cargo ships that disappeared, they heavy loaded. That's like in the Great Lakes. They're heavy loaded. I mean, they don't just send them out, with a couple cars on them. That thing's loaded down with coal and whatever else. They load them steel or whatever metal. They're loaded. I mean, they're loaded. And them hatches have to be tight. Them hatches have to be strapped down, and they need decent weather.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
what's been going on?
Not much. Not much at all.
I don't know when the show's going to air, but right now, as we speak, it could be a fight could be over, but Mike Tyson's fighting Jake Paul.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like Mike Tyson in prime, Jake Paul doesn't stand a chance.
Oh, Mike Tyson is prime. Jake Paul's dead and around.
Yeah.
He's out looking up, but now
I'd still like to think that Mike Tyson's still gonna win it, but he is old, and we don't know. You get old. Look at people like Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell took so many hits in his prime, and he'd just keep coming. But towards the end of his fighting career,
he glass jaw.
He didn't take it as well. And I mean that's understandable. Yeah, when you take a lot of hits.
People was calling him glass jaw. Since that dude didn't have a glass jaw, that dude he just took so many hits for so long that after so much of that head shaking, you just can't. Mike could get knocked out. He could.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also think he can knock out Jake Paul too.
Jake Paul's
so.
a bigger guy. He's 27, 28 years old.
Still young, yeah. Whatever.
Mike Tyson's 58. So you got a large age difference. You got Jake Paul's probably 5-6 inches taller than Mike Tyson from the pictures I've seen. Maybe taller than that. I don't know. Yeah. Mike Tyson ain't a really tall guy for a heavyweight. And so if I'm Jake Paul, I'm standing on the outside jabbing at him, making Mike use his energy. If I'm Mike, I'm trying to get inside where he can use his ability to hit tight and do what he used to do. I think Mike's got the power to knock him out. I'd like to see Mike knock him out.
Yeah, I would too.
I don't know that Jake Paul's dumb enough to get that close to him. I don't think.
No, like I know he's a big YouTuber and social media guy, but I do think he has talent in boxing, and he's been training. Now, how good is he? It's hard to say because who has he really fought?
Well,
some older MMA fighters.
I've watched some of the highlights of his fights and stuff, and he's got legitimate boxing movement. He's legitimate, but like you said, he fought former MMA guys who were past their prime, and they never were boxers. They were MMA guys. There's
a few boxers.
Jake Paul was to fight an MMA guy, even out of his prime, in an MMA match. Anderson Silva, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture they're out of their prime. They're a good bit out of their prime. They would beat him. They beat him silly in an MMA fight. But in a boxing match, and where they can only use part of what they trained all the time, he's going to beat him every time. Mike Tyson wasn't an MMA guy. Mike Tyson was a boxer. He was the best boxer in a time when we had great boxers. And, some people say, Holyfield was better. Some people say Lewis might have been better. Regardless of who won each fight when they fought and all that, the level of competition. A lot of people didn't like the way Tyson fought. They think he fought dirty, used his elbows and stuff, slid elbows in when he punched. I guess you could slow the film down and you could show that it looks like that. I'm not sure that there wasn't a lot of people that done that. Maybe all of them did. Maybe he did. That don't matter. If he could do it now, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if he done it then, he would still do it if he slid elbows. But I seen him catch people with the gloves, and he put them right down. And that wasn't an elbow. That was a glove. You could see when it hit. He's still got power. He may not have that much, he
probably a little bit slower too.
He might have lost a couple hundred pounds on that hit, but he still hits really hard. So and he likes to work the body on the big guys. Tyson loved that body, step back, body, punch to the head type stuff. If I'm Jake Paul, I'm staying out, jabbing, covering, good, and just kind of keep my elbows tucked in, my hands up. So because Tyson's got to, he's got to reach up to hit him, and stay outside and jab him and just keep moving. Don't let Tyson trap you. If Tyson traps him in the corner, there's a good chance he's going to go down. Because Tyson has really quick foot movement, and his hips, he swings his hips good. I don't know what you call it. I'm not a boxer.
Yeah.
But he swings his hips good. When he's moving from side to side, he's got he shifts his hips and his feet, and he shifts back and hits. It's definitely gonna be an interesting fight. I mean, some people's gonna pay per view it. Some people, if it's pay per view or whatever, some people's gonna pay to watch it. Some people's gonna wait to results and watch the highlights or whatever. That's
probably what I'll do, because
I can't afford to pay for it, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to. But I would. I'm interested. I like Mike Tyson. So he was from my era of fighting, and of course I want to see him, not just your smart mouth guy. A lot of people want to see him, but
he's selling the fight. So
I just want to know why he don't want to fight. Why he won't step up with none of the real fighter. Today's young champions. Like maybe not even the champion. Maybe the guy that was champion 5 years ago. Fight him.
Yeah. Well, that'd still be a money situation for him, because
be big money.
They'll have fans too, and the fact that he's fighting somebody who's a recent, big time fighter. It'll help some of them haters for him too.
I mean, who's he gonna call out next after the Tyson fight? If he wins Tyson, he's gonna call out George Foreman.
George St. Pierre.
George Foreman was old when Mike Tyson was young fighting. So
GSP might be too small to fight him. They can't wrestle, so it won't help him much.
He should call out John Jones.
John Jones got a fight this weekend.
Yeah, I see that. John Jones I don't care if you like him, you don't like him. I personally, his personality, I don't like. But that dude is bad.
He is a good fighter.
He is bad.
I go for whoever he's fighting against most of the time, but you can't.
You lose. Don't bet on him, so I can tell you, because that cat don't lose. He's lost 2 fights, right? And both of them was disqualification. Or was it one fight?
It was. Did he? He didn't lose the fight though. He won the fight, but he popped the drug test or something, right?
Yeah, and the other fight was a disqualification for illegal blow.
That's right. If you count that as a loss, I mean.
It was a disqualification. It was an illegal blow, but God, it's been so long ago. I remember it not really being Jones's fault. The way the blow happened. It's one of them Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen type knee things.
Yeah.
you really can't blame the guy if the guy's falling down and he's already throwing. But anyway, he had a disqualification and he popped a drug test, so he's lost 2 fights in like 30 fights.
And he's fought some good people too.
He's fought the best of the best at light heavyweight, and he's fought the heavyweight champion and beat him.
Daniel Cormier, fought him a few times.
I mean, he's legitimate. He's a legitimate fighter, man. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care if you like him, you hate him, you love him. Anywhere in between, it doesn't matter. It's just, can the guy fight? Yes.
Who's he fighting now? Is it Miocic? Miocic?
I've seen it. I don't remember, to be honest with you. I can't remember a lot. A lot of my memory right now was delayed from pain because as some people who watch it will know, some people won't. I have recently had knee surgery and complete replacement, and I'm still got a long way to go recovery wise. I can sit here and smile and pretend like it, but it still hurts. It hurts sitting here. It gets tight sitting, it gets tight moving, and there's only so much I can do. And I love my therapist. I got the best therapist in the world. Every therapist that I've had with this are great. They push me to get what I need to get done, and they listen. And when I'm in a situation where I just can't do something, they help me to get it iced down or whatever. But my therapists are the greatest, and I don't want to mention them on here because I might have haters, and I don't want them people going up there and yelling at my people that's doing good for me. But every one I've had from the first one I had in the hospital to the one I had come to the house to the ones that I have now that I go to, I love it. They're great. But I'll tell you what, it's a journey. It's a journey.
I bet, yeah.
So it's man, we'll get it all straight, get back to work, and then I can afford to get a pay-per-view here and there.
Oh,
I was, struggling to keep the cable on. Just kidding.
You don't even have cable. That's how bad it is.
So bad I had to go to internet TV. Oh boy. So what's going on out there, guys? I mean, somebody make a comment on here, but don't say nothing mean or bad or anything, or we dummies because we said something stupid about the Bermuda Triangle. We just having fun.
Yeah, we're not experts.
We don't claim to be experts, but we do claim to have fun.
Yeah. A lot of big talk.
And listen, I've had quite a few people say, man, I'd love to come on the show. And then when they get the chance to, they're scared of the camera. Listen, the camera we video on's about the size of this.
It's smaller than that. This is bad.
It's like this. It's this size. It's small. It's really small. Seriously. We'll bring an extra chair in here and set another mic up for you.
You don't even have to be in here if you don't want to. We can stream it across to each other back and
from
forth.
Your computer.
Whatever's comfortable for you.
So if you want to talk to us, I mean, even if you don't want to be on here to talk about the Bermuda Triangle or tell us how crazy we are or dumb we are, or whatever. If you don't want to do that, if you just want to hang out and we'll pull up something on the internet and talk about it, just in general or just in general talk, send us a message. We'll look. I'd love to have you on the show. We always want to look for people to put on here and interview. And I've talked with some of the guys. We've had people on the show. I talked to people about people they know. They've been on the show and coming on with us. And it's just a matter of trying to catch everything right to do it that way. But it's a lot easier if you wanted to do it over the internet. It'd be easier for you to do it because you'd be at your place where you're comfortable with. We can do it. We can set up here at a time that's going to work for everybody. And then you don't have to go out of your way to get here, get a new place. It's all.
We have to set up their whole seat, mic, and everything.
Yeah, it's fine with us. I mean, you might be in a different state from us, and so if you want to sit on and you talk, that's fine. And that includes you, Joe Rogan, if you want to do that. We like you, we watch you, and all that. But it'd be fun to have some people on here to talk to. Shoot back and forth and get their opinions on stuff and maybe hear a different take because it's kind of funny talking to people. For me, I enjoy listening to other people's views of stuff. they'll have stories that's really interesting and funny that it won't have nothing to do with the subject a lot of the time, but it's just interesting.
You know who I would really like to get on the show? I don't even know who they are, but we've had that comment about Bigfoot that one time. That person who disagreed with us. That'd be an interesting conversation. Like, we don't have to argue with anybody, but hearing their side of what they think,
Well, I mean,
what they believe, what you know.
most of the stuff that she said, I had already looked at and researched all that, and I'd seen all that, and for everybody else on the thing may not have, so it gave them something to look at. But I'd already seen all that, so for me, you wasn't educating me, and I know you felt like you were, but you wasn't educating me about it. I've already seen it, and you're not gonna change my mind because I've seen it. And the whole Bigfoot thing is, it's kind of a joke for me. It ain't for everybody. Some people get heated up about it, and that's fine.
Well, this show's kind of a joke, so you know.
Yeah, it kind of is.
We use some truth or some interesting topics, but we have fun with it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if you want to, present your viewpoint, pull up all your information, get your 17 computers and your 40 notes and all that there. We'll get on the thing and we'll put you on there, and you can say, well, here's where you said this here and this. Look, we was looking at videos, and it wasn't no Bigfoot in the videos.
Yeah, those videos we watched, I definitely would say no Bigfoot was in those.
Yeah, and the Patterson film and stuff. That's the best video they've had of Bigfoot since, when was that? Been so on since 63, 64. That's the best video they've got.
And then they have a guy saying that he dressed up in the suit.
And a suit maker said he made the suit, and Patterson didn't pay him $10,000. He's supposed to pay him or whatever he said it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that's why I think that. But I mean,
could be wrong.
Could be wrong. I don't care. I think it's crazy. So anything else you want to say? Anything else to talk about? Get me stirred up. Get me started. Get me fired up.
I don't know. That's it. We're about 50 minutes in. I think we can. You have to check out the next episode to see him fired up, since he's ready to roll.
Yeah.
We'll just jump from this one to the next one.
You'll do that? What you do though? Well, we'll discuss that off camera. That way.
I guess you'll find out when it pops up in 120 days.
I looked at that. I seen 120 days. I was like, what is wrong with you?
How do we only do 4 episodes in a season? And then it's
how?
We're still on the same season.
Every day I'm calling him. Hey, when we gonna do a show? Okay.
It was the mid-season finale. Giants.
There's nobody over here. I'm actually just looking at the wall, but I'm thinking to myself, listen to this garbage.
Well, I didn't even get to go on the cruise in the Bermuda Triangle, so
you could have went, but you could have paid.
I'm hoping the funds would pay for my trip. I mean,
what funds?
I can't do the show for free.
Well, so far I've received no money from the show, and I've spent a bunch of money on it.
Same.
Yes, I know.
But it's been fun, so I could say at least that we've
got people who do watch us. Not a lot of people, but the people that we have watching us, they're loyal. Even though we don't never put out shows, they still are loyal. Thank you for being loyal and for watching us. And some people watch us a few times, and I'd run into them, maybe somebody I worked with and stuff, and they'd make a little comment about this or that, and it's kind of funny because they had jokes about the jokes, so they knew they had to watch it to do that, and then sometimes they make little jokes about it, like pick at you type thing. Hey, look, that's fine.
Yeah, that's all part of it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, we enjoy it. It's not like with Jake Paul, we're going to offer you to box us or something.
Oh, no. I
but if you mess with me, I'm going to call Mike Tyson. I'll tell you that.
I'm going to call John Jones.
Yeah, John Jones.
I'll give you that oblique kick.
I couldn't take that for sure. That'd be throwing your gun. Shoot him in the foot twice.
Oh, we can't do that.
You shoot him in the foot, he wouldn't kick you no more, would he?
Oh, man. I think you have bigger problems at that point.
But, dude, that dude is such a great fighter, man. I don't care if you don't. I mean, I don't care who don't. I don't care nothing for his personality and his stuff. But man, that dude is such a good fighter. John Jones is such a good fighter. Just is. All right. Well, I guess we wrap this one up. Man.
Yeah, we'll do that. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Again,
share, tell your friends. Hey, look. These two guys, they put out a show every once in a blue moon. Once in a while, they put 2 of them out.
Maybe 3.
But they're so enjoyable to watch because they're not that well rehearsed.
Spit it out.
Well, I don't want to say stupid or dumb or silly or crazy in a bad way, but it could be true. It could be true, especially like some people like Bigfoot thinks. So.
They have the right to their opinion.
I mean, they could comment they could comment something like that every day. It would not.
Yeah, comment. I'm fine with comments. That's good for the algorithm.
Yeah, we appreciate the comments, the likes, the views, and hopefully we'll get this next one out here and get these up in a timely manner back to back, and
maybe every week, every other week.
We'll see.
This one will be soon, but they won't know that because they're just watching it now.
Yeah, you're watching it now.
It's as soon as now. You got it now.
But we can put this up right now.
Here we are. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Do we get dumber every show?
Yeah,
every show. Do we get dumber?
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Bigtalk-Smallroom production.